Hello again. And for those of you joining us for the first time, please exit this video right now. Go look at the other videos that came before this. You're not going to understand what's going on otherwise. For those of you who already watched the other 4 videos, welcome back! This is your work for today, Friday, March 27th. Even though if you're on top of things, you're looking at this a little bit ahead of time. As a quick reminder of what we've been talking about the last few days, remember that divergent plate boundaries, rock rises from the mantle and hardens, adding solid rock to the edges of both plates. At convergent plate boundaries, one plate moves underneath the other plate and sinks into the mantle. From your work that you should have done yesterday, you should have gotten these 2 answers, giving you a heads up so that you have an idea of what you should have seen. Please note here the following things, that in the convergent plate boundaries, that's where we're going to see a trench, and we're going to see a trench. One of these plates is going to sink down under the other plate. Over in the divergent plates, remember that the plates are actually moving away from each other. They're not getting closer, they're moving far apart from each other. These create these little mountain ranges that we call mid-ocean ridges. Also, don't forget that you should have put a minus sign and a plus sign for your homework assignments. If you didn't do these yet, please go ahead and add these in. Pause this video, go add them in now, so you can get full credit on this assignment. Now that we've done that, let's take a look at this map together. Do you see any patterns or connections on this map? Hopefully you notice that earthquakes and volcanoes lie mostly near the plate boundaries. We have earthquakes, volcanoes, all of these through here, and all of these are almost entirely on the plate boundaries. Is this enough evidence to determine if this plate boundary here, the one we've been staring at this whole time, can we tell if this is divergent or convergent? Absolutely not yet. We can't tell from just earthquakes and volcanoes because remember, earthquakes and volcanoes will show up both in convergent plate boundaries and in divergent plate boundaries. So let's review what we've learned so far from the last few days here. On convergent plate boundaries, plates are moving towards each other, where one sinks in under the other into the mantle. In divergent plate boundaries, plates are moving away from each other, causing rock to rise from the mantle, harden, adding solid rock to the plate. Convergent plate boundaries create a trench, which, as you may recall, is a little dip that we'll see inside of the plates here. There's a divergent plate boundary, which creates a mid-ocean ridge, because things are rising up here, so it's creating almost like a little mini mountain here as things are being pushed up to the plates. However, both of them are going to have volcanoes and earthquakes because volcanoes and earthquakes happen whenever plates are moving, not whether or not that's towards each other or away from each other. Obviously, the best way to determine what type of plate boundary exists between the South American plate and the African plate would be to go down and see if we can find either a trench or a mid-ocean ridge. So I say let's take a little dive. Hold your breath. Here's an image coming to us from the plate boundary. As you see, this looks like a mid-ocean ridge. We call this one the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Look at the work we did yesterday and today. What type of plate boundary causes mid-ocean ridges like this? How do those plates move? Are they converging or diverging? All right, let's resurf. Whew, that was quite a dive. Since we saw a mid-ocean ridge, we know for sure now that the plate boundary is a divergent plate boundary. How can what we know about divergent plate boundaries help explain why the Mesosaurus fossils that were once together are now so far apart? As you answer this question, what you're doing here is analyzing data to determine how the South American plate and African plate moved. Remember that to analyze is to examine in detail for a purpose. One important aspect of a scientist's job is to analyze data. Geologists analyze all types of data, but one important type of data that shows patterns on the Earth's surface. So for today, you're going to take everything we've learned here and you're going to complete 2 assignments. One is called Modeling a Divergent Plate Boundary, and the other is called How Did the Plates Move paragraph. Both of these are on OneNote. Remember, you have 5 days, so these are due by April 1st. I will go into detail about these now so you understand what to do. The directions are also on OneNote. For the first one, you will be creating a diagram that shows how the plate and mantle interact at the divergent plate boundary between the South American and African plates. You will need to draw in the missing space to show what is happening at the plates. Feel free to use one of the ones that we learned about, or one of the examples that we looked at a few assignments ago. It will probably be one of these. In addition, you'd add a plus sign to show where the rock from the mantle is being added to the plates. Remember, this is the mantle here, and then these are the plates here. Finally, draw on both of these the direction each of the plates are moving. Use an arrow to show which way the South American plate is moving, and another arrow to show which way the African plate is moving. The second assignment is writing a paragraph that answers the question, how did the South American plate and African plate move? You should be able to write a very solid ace paragraph for this. All right. I have given you lots of vocab words to use that I've posted on the assignment. Please make sure that you're using evidence to explain how. Don't just say, they move like this. Tell me how you know. Tell me how we should all know what evidence exists that we've talked about. And that's really going to be it for today. You've got some longer assignments today, so I won't take any more of your time. But please take your time in making sure you're doing your best on these assignments. Remember, they aren't due until Wednesday. Monday's going to be a midterm, but remember, it's not a big deal. It's not good. This one will not be graded. Don't forget about the office hours where you can come chat live with me during the day. Links to the online office hours are in Schoology. If you're watching this on Friday, I will be there from 12 to 1 today. Don't forget you can always contact me outside of those hours too, either through Schoology, email, or commenting on these videos. I'll probably get back to you pretty quickly. As it turns out, I've got some free time in between making these videos and watching movies at home. Oh, and grading your papers too. And that's it. I'm done now. Go to work. We'll talk to you all next week. Bye.